What's up everybody, it's Paul from Boosted Films, and in this video we're going to change the engine air filter and cabin air filter in this 2020 Ford F-150. First, we're going to start with the cabin air filter. Now this is kind of the typical behind the glove box cabin air filter, but I will say this is a bit trickier than some other ones that are really easy to drop the glove box on. There's a few more steps here that you're going to need to pay attention to. So of course, take anything out of the glove box if there's something inside of it. But the first thing we're going to pay attention to here is this arm on the right side. This is kind of a soft close, soft open arm. And as we go to the inside here, you can see where it needs to just snap back towards the inside of the car a little bit, and then it is free to come out. So it shouldn't take much force to get that out. And then to actually drop the glove box, it is a pinch style where you kind of pinch the inside edges of each side. Except on the right side here, you can see this piece that's kind of cut out. You got to get your finger right up in there where that piece is cut out and push that in, and then push in on the left side as well. And those two protruding parts will release. And my arm caught again back in place there, but then pull that arm back out if that arm caught, and then your glove box should hinge down. Next, we're going to remove this rubber piece that's above this kind of middle section of the glove box. That should just kind of pull out, and it will expose two screws that we need to remove here. These are 7mm worked for me. That probably an American equivalent will work as well, but we needed to remove these two screws. And then this kind of middle piece here with this little cubby, this does pull out all the way, but take your time with this. I wasn't honestly sure initially if it was going to pull out all the way or not because of the part on the left side there that kind of senses if it's open. But I'm going to show you underneath here just to show you where you should be looking. Those white pieces are where it clips in place. So what I also ended up doing was getting a screwdriver in there and then giving it a little twist, and that kind of helped pop those out. So you will need a bit of force to pull these out, but this should pull out as one whole piece. Of course, I didn't actually know that quite yet when I started doing this, so I only pulled out kind of the right side to give me a bit more access to the cabin air filter door, which you can see here, or I should say cover, not door. But the cover here, you probably have better visibility if you remove that full piece first, but you should be able to take the right side, kind of squeeze it in, left side, squeeze it in, and then this kind of hinges down and then comes out of place. So that is the cover for your cabin air filter, and that white piece is your cabin air filter. So again, I'm doing this out of order a little bit. You should be able to finish this up and pull this out. I'm going to show you exactly the two clips here that were kind of a bit tighter for me that were really holding it in place. So these two right on this side is kind of where you really need to pull to get that left side of that piece out of the way. And now we have a lot easier access to our cabin air filter. So of course we're going to pull that out. This one pulls out pretty easy. Of course, if there is a lot of debris on top, try to make sure you keep that debris on the top so it doesn't fall into the blower motor here. And then we're going to open up our new cabin air filter. And of course, we're going to check it, just make sure it's about the same size, same height, width, all that stuff. And then after we open it up, we're going to pay attention to markings on it for airflow direction. And as you can see, the airflow direction down is what we're going to want in this one. And that's typically how these are. A lot of them are airflow down in this style setup when you are doing it from behind the glove box. Also note those kind of wing looking things on the side. It's the first cabin air filter I've seen that really had those, but I tipped them up on each side as I slid it in. So I just assume it kind of helps make sure it keeps a better seal on the sides. So I just tipped those up and then on both sides, and then I slid this new cabin air filter in. It should slide in pretty easy. Again, just make sure your airflow directions are pointing down. Here's the cover, and you can see that part that sticks out on the top of the cover that helps hold the cabin air filter down. And this is going to we're going to hinge it in a little bit. We're going to put the bottom pieces where they hook in. We're going to put those bottom pieces in place first, and then we're going to tip it up, and then both sides should kind of just snap into place. So there you go, bottom pieces where it hinges in, and then each clip on each side. And that's it. You've actually successfully changed your cabin air filter, but of course now we got to put our dash back together. So we're going to start with this middle piece here, and we're going to snap it in place. And you should hear it kind of pop in, click in on those spots. So walk around the whole area and snap it in. And once that's snapped in, we're going to take our two screws and we're going to put those two screws back in place as well. And of course, I'm going to speed this up because you don't need to watch me do this in real time. Next, we're going to do that rubber piece. We'll put that rubber piece back in place. Note the few spots here that kind of need to line up. You should be able to line those up. And there's also a part that sticks out on the right side that needs to stick in as well. That little finger piece that sticks out on the right side too. You're going to watch for that. And basically just push this in place as well. Next, we're going to go back to that soft close, soft open arm. Mine actually just kind of fell out of place. So I'm going to give you a good shot of that here. You can see this piece right here where it goes in. So what we need to do, play with the length of that arm if you want. It will slide in and out basically. So find a good spot so you can get this in there the way it needs to get popped in. And then when you give it a twist, it holds in place. So you got to line it up and then push it in. And then we're going to adjust the arm length a little bit to lift up our glove box back in place. And again, maybe just squeeze those sides a little bit to get past those protruding parts, and that should then hold your glove box up where it needs to be. And watch for that arm on the right side. Make sure it's sticking out where you can get access to it, because of course we're going to reconnect that next. And that's pretty simple. We're just going to lift up the glove box a little bit, line up that hole, push it in towards the center of the car, and then push it back kind of towards the firewall. And there you go. You should be able to double check, make sure that's snapped in place. And now you can put everything back in your glove box, and your glove box should just be able to open and close as it did before, and you have changed your cabin air filter. Forgot to mention earlier on, because I didn't film it, but you may have adjusted your seat position to get an easier spot. So of course, put that back to where you want it, close your door, and you're all set. So next we're going to move on to the engine air filter. So we're going to go around to the other side of the car. We're going to open up our driver's side door, and then down by the left foot of where the driver would sit, there is a lever that you would pull to pop your hood. So we're going to give that a good pull, and our hood will pop open. And then to release your hood from the latch, you need to push your finger in and then kind of up and to the left a bit. And you can see a better shot now that the hood is open. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. But you got to get your finger in there to release that latch, and then your hood should just open up. And now we're going to look at the right side of the screen here, and you can see this is our air box. It does split into two. There's basically a lower and an upper, and in between there is the air filter that filters the air that goes into your engine. So these two clips here are pretty easy. You just snap those two clips towards the front of the car. Then you lift up a little bit and pull the air box towards the front of the car, and it will slide out of these portions of the back side where it slides in. Pretty simple. You should be able to then lift out your old air filter. This one's a bit dirty. Good thing we're changing it out. And just like the cabin air filter, we just want to compare our new one to our old one. Make sure we're not fighting any other battles as we go to put it in as far as it not fitting correctly. So I'm going to pull this one out, of course, take it out of the wrapping and compare sizes. Make sure it looks about the same as the one we removed. And then, if I recall, this isn't an exact square, even though it looks pretty much like a square. It's going to fit better one way than the other. If there's any big debris in the bottom of your air box there, go ahead and pull that out. Just get it out of the way so it doesn't get stuck in your new filter right away. So check in there and make sure there's no big pieces in there. And then we're going to set this in place. Again, it didn't seem to fit quite right this way, so I give it a little turn, and then it dropped right in. This should just drop in place. You shouldn't need any force to get it in, so the right one should just drop in. Now we changed angles a little bit. We're on the driver's side of the car, just so I can show you better these back pieces that need to slide in place. So of course we need to angle them down a little bit, and also you need to push kind of towards the engine because it's trying to push away a little bit. So we're going to push it towards the engine a little bit, and we're going to push it back towards the firewall as we've got a little bit of an angle on it just to get those pieces to slide in place. And they should slide in all the way, pretty much as you can see there, butting right up against the other piece of plastic. And then we got our clips that we just clip back in place. And that's it. It is that simple. Remove your old air filter. Make sure any tools from under your hood are not under the hood anymore. And then close your hood. Make sure it's latched all the way. So there you have it, guys. If you do want to buy the exact filters I'll put some links to buy them on Amazon in the video description if you want to. Otherwise, buy whatever filters you want. Doesn't really matter to me. You can buy OEM filters if you prefer to do those. Hopefully you just found this helpful if you're trying to do this yourself, to get some information on what you need to do to access both of these filters. With that said, there's a lot of smart people out there on the internet, so they'll correct me if I'm wrong. So watch the comment section for something maybe I did wrong, maybe I misspoke, maybe I did something completely wrong. I don't know. So check the comment section for any updates there. But also, if you do want to help me out, of course, if this video was helpful for you, just a thumbs up, a like, or whatever would be great. But also, just to help other people, if you want to comment whether or not this worked for your same particular vehicle, you might have a 2019 Ford, maybe that's exactly the same. Let me know if this procedure worked the same for whatever particular Ford year, make, model that you're driving. And that's about it for this video, guys. But as always, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks so much for watching.